Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in the Big Ten in Week 12 of this 2021 college football season. And it'll be over the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Wisconsin Badgers. Huge match for both these teams as we head into Week 12. We got Nebraska on one side. This team is 3-7, and their chances at a bowl game are pretty much over. But this could be a huge momentum shifter for them. And they're facing off a team that they've only beaten once in the past decade, and that's Wisconsin. The Badgers are on fire right now. They're one of the best teams in the Big Ten. I'd say they're pretty underrated as well. I mean, they started out the season 1-3, and they've won 6 in a row. And this team has really found their stride, and it looks like they're the clear favorite right now to win the Big Ten West. But to keep your hopes alive, got to win this game here. So, yeah, huge matchup for both these teams going into Week 12. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Nebraska lost to Ohio State in their last game, 17-26. Another close loss for the Cornhuskers, and that's been a very common theme all season for Nebraska, is all the close losses to good football teams, by the way. I mean, they had a close game to Michigan State, close game to Michigan, close game to Ohio State, close game to Oklahoma. I mean, it goes on and on. Nebraska is a much better football team than the record shows, and coaches have admitted that from opposing teams. And I mean, Nebraska has kept it close, but they just cannot win their games, which is a major issue that needs to be fixed. But of course, I mean, once again, I mean, this is a football team that should not be slept on. And in Wisconsin's case, I mean, they've been on fire recently, and so you want to make sure this isn't a trap game for you. But you beat Northwestern at home 35-7, had no problem against the Wildcats in your last game. You are 7-3 on a 6-game winning streak as well. I mean, Wisconsin at the beginning of the season really looked like they were just a terrible football team. Like, offensively, they couldn't get anything going. And since they were 1-3, this team has won 6 in a row, and offensively, they're only getting better. And their defense has allowed single-digit points to each of their last 3 opponents, which, by the way, their last 3 teams that they've played are actually decent football teams. So, yeah, I mean, Wisconsin they're ranked 19th right now in the nation in the AP poll. That could be different for the college football playoff rankings. Personally, I've got them ranked at number 15. I think Wisconsin is a football team that's kind of being slept on right now. They're one of the best teams in the Big Ten right now. I mean, if you don't look at their record, I mean, this is a football team that clearly has got potential to win the conference right now. They're playing outstanding. So, yeah, it's going to be a huge game for both these teams. And for Nebraska, of course, it's also huge for them. I mean, they just fired like 4 assistant coaches. So, yeah, for Scott Frost and his program, I mean, this could be a huge momentum shifter if they could get a huge upset win here in Week 12. Game will be on Saturday, November 20th in Madison, Wisconsin. So Badgers are the home team. Afternoon kickoff, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Spread currently has Wisconsin by 10. Over-under is 42, so it's expected to be a low-scoring game, which I totally agree. You got 2 great defenses and 2 offenses that are, I mean, Wisconsin's offense is getting better, but it's not great. So, yeah, I do expect it to be lower scoring. FPI is going Wisconsin 70.3%. So Badgers are favored actually by quite a bit for this game, 10 points on a over-under of 42. Series history, Wisconsin leads at 10-4. Win streak is Wisconsin by 7. Nebraska has not beaten Wisconsin since 2012. That's the one time that the Cornhuskers have beaten the Badgers since joining the Big Ten. So it's been a long time since Nebraska. I mean, they've gotten close a couple of times, but they have never been able to beat the Badgers. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Nebraska's got 28 points per game, 20 points allowed, 264 pass yards a game, 194 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 231 passing, and then 132 for rushing. And as for Wisconsin, 26 points per game, 14 points allowed, 162 pass yards a game, 227 rush yards. So obviously you got a heavy rushing offense, which is pretty common with Wisconsin having a very strong rushing game. That's been a very common theme for the past few years for them. And for yards allowed, 155 passing, 60 rushing. This is an outstanding Wisconsin defense. I mean, those are 2 very outstanding stat lines there. So, yeah, Wisconsin's defense is definitely the strength of their football team. It is very tough to score on Wisconsin, and especially recently, looking at Wisconsin's margins of victory, they beat Northwestern 35-7. Rutgers is likely going to a bowl game, and Wisconsin beat them 52-3 on the road. And then, of course, Iowa allowed only 7 points to them. So they've only allowed a combined 17 points in their last 3 games. So this team is finding their stride. I mean, do not sleep on Wisconsin. I'm sure a lot of people are sleeping on this team right now based off of where they are in the rankings, but this is a very good football team right now. Beat Purdue as well, 30-13. Beat Army 20-14. And that Army game was kind of their last, it looks like that was kind of their last subpar game. Beating Army by 6 points isn't a very good game. But since then, blowing out Purdue, blowing out Iowa, who was ranked 9th in the nation there, blowing out Rutgers on the road, and blowing out Northwestern. Wisconsin, they're looking very good right now. As for Nebraska, you can see how many close games this football team has had. It's been a brutal season for the Cornhuskers. Lost to Ohio State 17-26, lost to Purdue by 5, lost to Minnesota by a touchdown, and lost to Michigan by 3. It's been a tough season for Nebraska, but beat Northwestern 56-7, so I guess you got that going for you. But some key points here: Nebraska 3-7, team is a lot better than the record shows. I mentioned that earlier, and that's totally clear. Like Ryan Day a couple weeks ago was talking about how dangerous of a football game it was when the Buckeyes went to Lincoln, which it looked like that for a long time. Nebraska really hung in there, but once again, Nebraska can't finish their football games. So, until Nebraska finishes a football game and gets a quality win against a decent opponent, I just don't see it happening. But yeah, offensive and special team struggles have been a major issue. Offensively, this team has gotten slightly better over the course of the season, but special teams has been a disaster for Nebraska. Defensively, they've been impressive. That's definitely the strength of this football team, is the defensive side of the ball. Potentially the best defense we've seen out of Nebraska in a decade, and this team is still 3-7. Wisconsin on track to another Big Ten West title. This team should win the Big Ten West. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. Iowa's kind of in the background there, but Wisconsin's got the tiebreaker over Iowa, and I don't see Wisconsin losing their last 2 games. So, Wisconsin, this team should win the Big Ten West this season. Once again, I'm just being honest. This team is, they're very good right now. And, this team could potentially get to the Rose Bowl is what I'm thinking here. A 3-loss team in the Rose Bowl seems kind of unlikely, but it's possible if Wisconsin gets to the Big Ten championship game. And, of course, if Ohio State wins, which I'm expecting Ohio State to be the winner of the Big Ten East. If Ohio State wins it, they go to the college football playoff, leaving potentially the Wisconsin Badgers or whichever team is the champion of the Big Ten West, which I don't see. Iowa, I don't know. It's kind of a tough situation there. Potentially the Rose Bowl picks like Michigan State or Michigan, if they finish out the season with a decent record, over the Big Ten West champion, but we'll see what happens. Wisconsin, they've improved a lot. Started out the season 1-3, now 7-3, and defense has been outstanding for the Badgers. That being said, let's get to the prediction here for Nebraska, Wisconsin. I'm going to go Badgers here, 20-17. It's going to be another close loss for Nebraska. I just don't see the Cornhuskers going on the road in a tough environment against Wisconsin, which is a very improved football team that is on fire right now, potentially one of the hottest teams in the Big Ten. So I got Wisconsin winning this game by 11. Wisconsin, 65% chance of them winning it. I just think Nebraska's a good football team, and I don't think it's a blowout, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring type matchup, and Nebraska, once again, just can't get over the hump. Over-under is 42. Take the over, and Wisconsin's going to cover as well for this game. I think the spread is 10 points right now. That's kind of a tough spread to bet on, because if it's a low-scoring matchup and you're predicting Wisconsin by 10, which Nebraska's lost a lot of close games by 10 or below, that's what makes it tough. But I'm going to take Wisconsin to cover as of right now, 28-17. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to go Badgers. Well, let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.